So the languages are also very different. And so you'll kind of use slang that you learned in Peru and you use that in Bolivian. They're thinking, I don't even know what you're talking about. And it was funny how lots of things just really did not translate. In Bolivia, there's Spanish and there's Quechua and there's Aymara. And so there's 3 different languages. And I think it's the indigenous people mostly who speak Aymara and Quechua. But you'd meet a lot of people that you'd have to know something about that language, or at least have somebody there to translate for you, because quite a few people actually did know. It was more out in the provinces where I just stayed in the city. Mostly in the city we were pretty okay, but you get out to the provinces and these people only speak that language. In Lima, they are shockingly fast, but not as fast as Chileans. Chileans speak really fast Spanish. And so you'd meet any Chilean and you're like, whoa, I don't know. I don't even know what you're saying. You're speaking so fast. And the thing is, when you get to Santa Cruz, they never say their S's at the end of a word. So in a word like pues, which is kind of like, well, or something like that, they'd say pue. Santa Cruz wouldn't be Santa Cruz, it'd be Santa Cruz. And, so you never quite understood what they were saying at first, because you're used to Lima where they enunciate so much better. Then you get to Santa Cruz and they kind of mumble a little bit more and the S's are not all there and you have no idea what they're saying. And it was kind of funny to have them listen to me, a Lima learned person in Spanish, trying to speak Santa Cruz Spanish, and it just never really connected the dots. But learning the language, when I was in the Peru MTC, I was the only sister, I was the only American sister, and I think there were 7 elders with me. And so they put the Americans in one class, and then they put the Spanish speakers in a different class. And then if we were outside of a classroom, I had a companion who was a Spanish speaker, and we were with the Latinos. But I sat in that class, and sisters at that time, now it's different because they changed the age, but sisters at that time were always older than the elders. And so the elders were still kind of just out of high school and still, this is all funny. And I was serious. And so I would listen so intently to every single word that they would say in Spanish, because they'd only speak Spanish to us, which is the whole point of why we went to the Peru MTC, is to learn Spanish. And I found that if I just listened to everything that they said as closely as I could and never took my ears away, I understood the language so much quicker. And the elders would kind of turn to me like, what does that mean? They're like, listen. So I'd have to tell them, and then finally we all kind of got in the groove of things. But anybody learning a foreign language, hopefully now I think the church has in place a lot where they're sending the missionaries to an MTC where that language is spoken. And just do your best. And it is hard and it is overwhelming. I was the only American sister there. And so for me to be up in our rooms with the sisters was so overwhelming to me and lonely, because nobody spoke my language and I didn't speak their language. I was only there a couple of days. And by the time they came in, and it got really lonely down there. But I found friends in the elders and was able to be with them, and they took care of me, and many of them I still know to this day, and we still talk, but you gotta pay attention. And by the time I got to my first area, my companion was a North American, and she said, "I'm shocked at how well your Spanish is." I thought, thank you. It really paid off, and it really did excel very quickly. And we didn't, I think it's kind of more of a choice to study the language in your morning routine. You can, if you're learning a different language, I think the White Handbook says that you can stay in another hour or half hour and study the language. I didn't find that to be necessary. I felt like our time was much better spent out there in the field, teaching and learning that way. I think you learn just as good, if not better, doing that. So I really don't think that's necessary. Some may think so, and that's great, but I didn't feel like it was a big need at that time.